Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio. Good evening. It is Friday night, 10 o'clock p.m. here in Calgary, Alberta, Friday, September the 2nd. I'm glad to be here. This is Child Abuse Prevention is Up to Us, and it's a 30-minute live internet streaming radio broadcast from blogtalkradio.com. And chat room's open there. I did pop the link into there when I wanted to get tonight. Sort of a continuation from Wednesday night, looking at the Child Discipline series and Child Abuse series on about.com. And they have lots of good information there. And there was an author, like a guest writer who used to write on about.com, and I guess she's not there. She's formerly one of the writers, but her information is pretty good, and I just like what she sort of draws attention to and brings attention to, and so I wanted to kind of cover that. So thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I just do these shows because I just want to be one more voice speaking out against abuse. Like we all need to be speaking out against abuse. And it's not everyone's going to be motivated to do this for a career or to do this 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We all have lives and we all have things we need to do, but I figure I have nothing better to do with my spare time than to try to raise awareness and try to make as much noise as I possibly can regarding the issues of child abuse, So I've been doing the show since November 2009, almost 2 years now, and I really didn't know how long I'd be doing them, but as a year rolled by and then another year and a half rolled by, I thought, I'll go for 2 years and see how many shows I can do. I'd appreciate everybody who's taken the time to tune into my shows, because I have a lot of people who listen, and I know who some of you are, and some of you I really don't know who you are, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I have sometimes 1,000 listens a month, sometimes 2,000 listens a month, and that's a lot of people tuning into my show. So I really appreciate people taking the time to do that, because just to spend that time with me, and I appreciate that you like what I have to say about child abuse. We all need to stop this. This is a huge mess, and it's just such a hard issue. All the different people out here who are working to stop child abuse. Even the governmental agencies, it's such a mess. Nobody even knows where to start. It's where do you start? If you could just get people to stop abusing their children, then we could all just go off and do something else, right? Which is really preferable. I'd really like to see that. But how do you get people to make the right choices on behalf of their children? My parents didn't. And, and this is a sad fact, right? And it's done. The abuse happened. It's done. Can't change it. Can't go back. It's just what it is. But the issue is that there's little kids out here tonight who are going to die. They're going to die. They're going to lose their lives because somebody's going to beat them to death. Somebody's going to kill them. Someone's going to abuse them so badly that they're going to end up in the hospital due to the abuse-related injuries and die there. If they live, they're going to suffer with a lot of wounds and a lot of problems in their life. And then there's other children that, will be removed from their homes, and have to go into foster care or some type of situation where they're, taken from their families and placed somewhere else. And a lot of those children just experience more abuse, because we know the situation out here with foster homes, and not every foster home's a bad home. It's just like saying every parent is an abuser. It's just not true. There's good foster parents out there. There's good parents out there. But then there's a whole lot that aren't doing what they should be doing. There's a whole lot of people abusing children is what it is. And we see the headlines. I see the headlines. I volunteered with Dreamcatchers for Abused Children for 2 years, and which is a great opportunity, and I'll always appreciate them giving me the opportunity to do that, especially in the role that I was in, Canada Regional Director. And I just left for personal reasons, but I love what they do, and I love what they stand for, and I always will. So I'll always support their work, and I hope that you will too. And, it's just that all of us out here together, we're all trying. But it's how do you reach these people before they kill their children? How do you reach this parent out here who tonight is going to get angry or uptight or just take their garbage out on their child, and they're going to kill their child? And we're going to see the headline tomorrow, or in a couple of days. This is really distressing, and we need to find the answers. We really do. There's no easy answer to this, and I really think it's going to take generations to change this. As much as I'd like to say, I wish we could change this this year. I seriously can't even see how that could even happen. Think about the scale. Think about the worldwide scale. Think about, even if we don't even take the world into the situation, and we just look at what's going on in Canada and the United States, these two countries, right? Because I'm Canadian, I'm U.S. I'm a dual citizen of both countries, right? Think about what's going on in these two countries. Try to stop it in these two countries, good luck. Try to stop it in your own city, good luck. This is absolutely unacceptable. I really think it's going to come down to education, and I think that we're going to have to reach these young people because, I was talking about this earlier this summer, and actually in the springtime, was that, all these kids that are going to graduate, that have already graduated now, these teenagers, these high school students that went through grade 12, 13, whatever, and graduated, how many of them are we going to see in the paper in a couple of years after they have their first child? How many of them will kill their first child? How many of them will abuse their child and they will be brought up on charges? Quite a few. It's distressing. It bothers me to think that these people out here can do these things. And it's not just young people who abuse children. My mother was 38 when I was born, and she was abusing me, all the way through. So it's older people abuse children too. It's not just young people. But I'm saying as far as stopping the cycle goes, we are going to have to reach these people who are going to be the next set of parents. And it's going to have to start a lot earlier than high school, because a lot of children are seeing a lot of violence. They're witnessing a lot of domestic violence, a lot of abuse within their own home, maybe within their grandparents' home. They're maybe witnessing a lot of violence in their neighborhoods. They're probably allowed to watch a whole lot of violent TV, and they think violence is life. And so they grow up with these attitudes that that's what you do. You hurt people when you want either to push your weight, or you want your way, or you want something, obviously. People that duct tape their babies' mouths and kill them because they're crying obviously want the child shut up. There's so many better ways to handle it. We don't have to kill our children, and we need to reach these young people out here, these little elementary grade. I'm serious. It needs to start early, like really early. And they need to go through a whole series of, let's stop violence courses. And it should be mandatory, and it should be every year. It shouldn't be something where, they do one segment a year for 2 weeks. No, it shouldn't be like that. It should be something that's mandatory. It's just part of the curriculum, and it's just what they do. And that way, if they just try it like in one country, But see, that's just a sad thing, is that children don't matter. And the reason why children don't matter is because it's obvious. Because no one is doing anything to change this mess. The government spending. I talk about this a lot on my show because it's a stat that I saw out there. I saw this stat, and I'm going to probably find it again. $105 billion being spent annually in the United States alone because of child abuse. That's not to stop child abuse. That's not to prevent child abuse. That's because of child abuse. $105 billion with a B. The government spends, it's the United States government spends that every year, $105 billion because of child abuse. Well, if they truly cared about the children of the United States of America, and I'm not running the states down, I was born there. I'm an American too, see, so I'm not into running anybody down. The issue is that if they would just focus on spending money to prevent child abuse, they wouldn't have to keep spending that $105 billion to clean up the mess. And the sad issue is that we're talking about children's lives. I'm a survivor. That's why I'm out here. And quite often people think, well, people that listen to my shows just probably think, wow, she's just a cranky, person. She gets on the air there on Blog Talk Radio and she just bitches and complains and gripes about child abuse. But the issue is I'm a survivor, and this affects me in every way. And I have a normal life outside of Blog Talk Radio, right? I do normal things. I'm just an average person. But the thing is that when I'm speaking about these issues, it's because it's coming from my heart, and it's because I was abused as a child, and I can't believe the stuff that I was made to endure, and I cannot believe the stuff that my parents put us through, and that the society says it's okay and it's fine, and it's not. It's not okay. It will never be okay. And these children out here that are suffering here tonight, it won't be okay for them either. Even if they survive the abuse and the abuse just continues on, or even if they get some help and they get the child some help, they will have issues to recover from that. And not all of them, but some of them will go on to abuse their own children because of it. My parents were both abused as children and passed the cycle on to us, so it does happen. And, it's really sad and really twisted and pathetic that this is going on, and these kids out here are going to die tonight for no reason. And that's why I want to draw attention to this one article that I saw. It's dealing with child discipline. So many people think discipline's okay. It's okay to discipline your children. Well, it depends on what kind of discipline that is. It's like it depends on what we're talking about. You know what I mean? A lot of people think it's okay to beat their children half senseless and leave scars and wounds on their children. No, it's not. It's not okay. You know, and a lot of people think it's okay to sexually use their children. No, it's not. It's not okay. There's a whole group of society out here that likes to think that that's okay, right? People are lobbying the government for adult-child sexual relationships. You just start taking a look at some of the petitions that are out there. But, you know, it's incredibly wrong. And it's just, you know, you just sit here and you think, why? Why is this even being allowed to happen? And we just need to change the way people feel about children. Children are not sex toys, right? They're just not. They never were, even though they've been doing this since time began. And also, and I don't mind saying this is my show, so I can say that if I want to. And also, you know, children are not put on the earth to be abused. They're just not. Children are little people that should have the same opportunity that everybody else has to grow up in a decent, you know, loving, caring, nurturing environment where all their needs are being met, the physical needs, the emotional needs, the medical needs, you know, the health needs, like all of it, right? Children have rights. I know I study child rights, right? I went to Mount Royal, and that's what I do. I study child rights and human rights. And children have rights. They have the right to life, first of all, and they have the right to a good life, just like everybody else. And sadly enough, they got nobody to stand up for them unless we become their voice. Because sadly enough, people in abusive families don't quite often, almost never, get the child any help until they're on their deathbed. And sometimes they take them to the hospital, and sometimes they don't. They just let them die in their cribs, or they just let them die in their rooms, or they just throw them out in the backyard and bury them. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is absolutely sick and twisted. And you know, I don't mind getting. You know, I public speak publicly, right? This is what I do, and I don't mind, you know, if it offends people, because the issue is I'm offended. I'm highly offended that people are doing this to their children and to other people's children. I'm highly offended that my parents did this to me. I'm highly offended that society thinks this is okay. You know, it just offends me that people think that child abuse is okay. It's not. It never will be. See, and I'm just one person out here that doesn't mind speaking out against it, right? I'm not out here for a popularity contest. I don't have a whole lot of friends because of it, but the friends that I do have are really decent, good people, which is what I would prefer. But the thing is, you know, it's absolutely horrific, right? Like, I mean, what I'm thinking is education is a huge proponent, really huge, huge issue, and I think we got to start really with these young people in the schools today. And I think that we have to start, like, when they're just, right, getting into elementary school, and start showing them that there are other ways. You don't have to hurt and harm a child. You don't have to hurt and harm your own peers, you know. Like, you don't have to hurt and harm anybody. There's just no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. And, you know, address some of these issues, right, really young. Because, you know, this way, by the time they hit high school, they will have gone through, you know, like a good, 4 or 5, 6, at least 7 or 8 years of good information. And maybe when it comes time for them to start a family, they will think about choosing some healthier parenting styles and making some better choices on behalf of their children. There will always be some that will slip through the cracks. There will always be some that won't do that. But I think that we can get to the majority. I think that would be the best situation, right? So this information comes from a Child Discipline series, and it's written by Kimberly L. Keith, former About.com guide. So she just writes some interesting stuff about child discipline, and she says child discipline is an important emotional issue for parents of elementary-age children, and she says, we worry about misbehavior and how we should handle it. Ongoing behavior problems lead us to feel frustrated and angry. We dislike having to punish our children, she says. The majority of us need to learn more effective ways to discipline our children. Effective discipline helps our child develop self-control, respect for authority, and empathy. And both spoiled and harshly disciplined children are at risk for emotional behavior problems. One new approach or discipline strategy can change the course of our child's development. So she says, take the risk and try something new. As your child grows, remember these basic principles underlie the variety of discipline strategies you will use. For instance, good child discipline begins with attachment, and they have an article here on attachment parenting of older children. So they said, you know, attachment begins when the child is an infant. So to continue good attachment parenting through the elementary years, you see these tips here on this one link. So they said if your child has difficulties with attachment from infancy, effective professional help during the elementary years steers your family and child to a positive and hopeful adolescence. And, you know, we're not talking about, we're talking about difference, which is a very fine line where a parent is disciplining their child and they're actually correcting bad behaviors and teaching and training, and a parent who's just abusing their child. There is a huge difference, right? The reason I know this is because I was abused, right? So I know the difference. Lots of people may not, and may not even understand it, and my parents didn't understand it. They thought it was fine that you could beat your child with a hammer, that you could beat your child with a rolling pin, and you could break their head in, and it was fine, right? My parents thought that was great. It was like, oh no, well, we got to teach our kids a lesson, and that's why they were brought up on charges, right? The issue is they thought that was okay, right, in their minds, because they were abused as children. You know what I mean? So there's a whole lot of people out here that really don't grasp the fact that what they're doing to their children is abuse. And I mean, if it hurts and harms a child, anything that hurts and harms a child, that's the definition of most of recognized definition of child abuse, is that any act or inaction that hurts or harms a child or threatens to hurt or harm a child is considered to be abuse. And so, you just can't go around just practically killing your child because you don't like the look on their face or their attitude. Children are going to have these issues, right? They are. A lot of people just assume that their child's just gonna be some sort of sweet little precious angel that's never ever gonna talk back to them, never gonna misbehave, never gonna never gonna do these things. Well, they are going to do it, and they are going to push every single button that you have. And the issue is it's not their fault. They're learning. They just need to be taught a better way. Bashing your children in the head with heavy objects is really not the way to do it. There's better ways, right? There's so many better ways. This good child discipline shows respect for the child and the parent. So they said discipline techniques that belittle or shame a child are truly harmful. And if your relationship with your child has become a power struggle, then control, not discipline, has become your goal. So diffuse this toxic relationship with good listening skills. Show respect for your child's feelings and thoughts while standing firm on your expectations for good behavior. Respect for parents and other authorities is crucial to self-discipline and healthy development. And they said help your child or children learn respect for authority by making your own words and actions as a parent worthy of respect. Because they're not going to respect somebody who's not worthy of it, and I know this. It's just, there's just no reason to hurt and harm a child. You know what I mean? There just isn't. There's no excuse for it. There's no reason for it. And, it really reflects badly on the parent if a child's out of control. And that's the truth of it right there. You see a child who's out of control, well who's to blame? You know what I mean? And a lot of times people say, oh, well, they're this and they're that, and they're ADHD and they're this and that. Well, so you're the adult in the situation, so don't abuse your child. Get your child some help. So good child discipline changes as the child grows. So they said, when discipline doesn't seem to be working for your family, you want to step back and look again at the problem. And the first step is to learn what is normal behavior for your child's age and stage of development. They said some misbehavior is an expression of transitions in the school-age child's rapid development, and parental expectations may be beyond what the child is able to achieve on a consistent basis. And there's going to be problems. I mean, this is just the way it is, But there's no need to kill your child, right? Get some help. If you're a parent and you're struggling in this area and you're thinking, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, there is so much good info out there. You know what I mean? Like, I see this stuff everywhere. There's all kinds of great help for people now that there never was before because of the Internet. And so, if you have a computer and you have, or you can use a computer at the library, you can get some information on how to get some help so that you don't hurt your child, so that you don't harm your child, right? There's, I can tell you everything not to do to a child, you know what I mean? That's what I'm good at, you know what I mean? That's what most of my people know that listen to my show in the morning, one child abuse survivor to another. I can tell you exactly what not to do to a child, right? And so, there's don't hurt your child. Don't harm your child. Like if you're a person out here and you're thinking, oh my God, I'm having such a hard time and I'm struggling and my children are driving me nuts and I don't want to hurt them, but I don't know how to cope. I don't know what to do. Get that information. Your children shouldn't pay the price for your inability to not be able to cope, right? And they need healthy examples. And if you're not doing the job, you can't expect them to come out of it very well. You know what I mean? And a lot of times parents will be like, well, I did the best I could and I tried and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, really? Okay, sure. You know what I mean? Not really. And there's so many people out here who, have children and they just think it's just going to be some sort of fantasy land. This is some sort of fantasy thing. Oh, we'll have a family and have some kids. And it's like they're not even thinking about the responsibility of that, and they're not even thinking about whether or not they can personally handle that, whether they're personally able to cope with the situations that will arise from having a child. And that's why you see people killing their children, because they're interrupting their time on Facebook and things like this, right? And killing their children because they didn't want to hear the child cry. Well, so they just kill them or duct tape their mouth, and leave them in a closet to die or whatever. And this is absolutely unacceptable. This is why I'm doing this show. This is why I do what I do. And this is why I'll be doing what I do for the rest of my life, which is just public speaking and raising awareness and hopefully reaching somebody out here who may not realize, what they're doing. Sort of a wake-up call. Don't hurt your child, right? There's so much good information. I mean, you just start looking around, you can see it. It's everywhere. It's just all over the place. And because children do need guidance. They need guidance. They need their parents to be the very best teachers. Yeah, I don't think children need their parents to be their very best friends. You know what I mean? This is not healthy to me. I don't think it's healthy. I think that children need good parents. Who are going to be their best teachers, their best advocates. They're going to be the ones that are going to make sure that all their needs are met. They're going to make mistakes, but children can pretty well get over that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Especially when they know that the parent's trying, and that they'll eventually come around to learn that, nobody's perfect. No parent's perfect and no child's perfect. But I think they know when their parents have their best interests at heart, and they know this, and they can feel it, and they know how important they are to that parent. And when a child's just not important to the parent, and the parent just doesn't care and just abuses them and just mistreats them, and how else what are they supposed to expect from that child? What can you expect from that child? Not a whole lot. It's absolutely wrong. It's so twisted and wrong what people do, and I hope that we can, all of us together, all of our voices together, can make a change in this thing, because it is really so needed and necessary. And there's a whole section of society that just likes to pretend it doesn't happen. Oh, there's just, it's because they don't want to get involved, and they certainly don't want to hear about it. It's like, well, I didn't want to know about it either, let me tell you that. I certainly didn't want to know about it when I was being abused, and I was bleeding on the kitchen floor and having to wonder if the last blow was going to be the last breath I was ever going to take. I didn't like that, I'll tell you that. But I was forced to deal with it, and I was forced to live through it and forced to move on through my life as a very wounded adult child of abuse, adult survivor of abuse. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. And, so many kids out here won't survive. They won't make it, and it's like so tragic. And I think that, for us just to walk away and wash our hands because, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to stop it? So many people say, oh, well, you never stop child abuse. It's like that's a cop-out. That is such a cop-out. That's like saying we'll never find the cure to cancer. Yet people are pumping in millions of dollars, and millions of people, billions of people around the world are doing walks for cancer, run for cancer, this and that for cancer. Hey, I'm all for it. My sister died of cancer. I know lots of people who are survivors of cancer, and, so I'm all for it. But I'm just saying, I'm just using this as a comparison. If we thought for 1 minute there was not going to be a cure for cancer, why are we pumping billions and trillions into it, finding a cure? It's a joke, you know what I mean? This whole idea of, we'll never be able to stop child abuse, so we may as well forget it. That's just such a cop-out. And it makes me so sick to my stomach to hear people say stuff like that. It's like, you know what? Go stick yourself in a closet somewhere. Go away. Got no time for you. Got no energy to waste on you. Bye-bye. You know what I mean? Because, that is a cop-out attitude. It's like, okay, if we can't stop child abuse, then let's just give up on the cure for cancer, too. Bag that. Let all those little kids die with no hope. Oh, no, we'll never find a cure. Too bad. Off you go, Let's just give up on everything then. I just think it's such garbage. And here's why. I'm on a bit of a rant here tonight, as everybody can tell. But the issue is the reason why I do a whole lot of thinking about this stuff, because I'm going to be public speaking, hopefully in conferences here in Canada as well as the United States and worldwide, hopefully eventually. But the issue is that people don't want to see these ugly children. People don't want to see an abused child. People have no problem looking at pictures of children who have cancer. No problem at all. Why? Because it doesn't wrench their heart. It doesn't make them see the evil side of society. What it does is it's a disease that's killing that child, not a parent, not a stranger, not a caregiver, not a grandma, not a grandpa. It's a disease. It's this faceless disease that people can go ahead and get mad about and say, oh, yeah, look at that stupid cancer killing these poor children. You know what I mean? We got to find a cure for this, so we can save these children's lives, right? And then when you see an abused child, everybody's just like, oh, don't even want to touch that. Can't even look. Oh, I can't look at those photos. It's too disturbing. Why? Why is it so disturbing? I'll tell you why it's so disturbing. It's because it shows the true intent of the evil of the hearts of people that could do this stuff to children. And that's why people don't want to see it. Because what does it do? It causes them to think about their own parents. It causes them to think about them being parents. It causes them to think that how could somebody do this to a child? And they don't want to think about that because they just want to think happy thoughts. Hey, I want to think happy thoughts too, but I got memories of my brother raping and sodomizing me. I got memories of my parents kicking my ass and nearly killing me, throwing me out of the house, calling me names, you know what I mean? Driving me over a cliff, for God's sakes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like to be in a little happy place too, but I'm also very realistic. And I'm in the real world, not in some sort of form of denial, which is a whole societal issue regarding child abuse. It's like, oh, well, if we pretend we don't know about it, it doesn't exist. Well, it does, because so many children are going to end up in the morgue tonight, and there'll be police officers having to go pick up their bodies, and we know this. So why are people in such denial when it comes to child abuse? Why? Because it's happening in our homes. It's happening in our homes. It's happening in our very homes, in our schools. It's happening in our churches. It's happening in our daycare centers. It's happening everywhere where there's a child. Anywhere where there's children, that's where the abuse will be. Where are children? Well, they're generally with the parents or with a caregiver or somebody who's looking after the child. And that's why nobody wants to think about this stuff, because it's too personal. It's too personal. Well, of course it's too personal. You know what I mean? But I was forced to deal with this my whole life. And so that's why people might think, well, I don't know how she can get on there for, 800 shows for like 2 years and keep talking about the same thing. It's because this is my life. This is what I've had to live through my whole entire life. I watched my family be destroyed by two people who would not stop abusing their children and abusing each other. And they just had to keep it on going, even after the courts were involved, even after the social workers were in. It's just absolutely ridiculous what people will do to their children. And I used to pray for death. I used to wish for it. I'd be like, go ahead and kill me, I didn't want to be here. I was like, you go ahead and kill me. I don't care. I'm dead anyway. And for years and years and years I felt that way, And then just, this last 4.5 years or so since I started my healing journey, I realized that I'm so thankful to be here, because I know that these little kids out here tonight who are going to be killed and murdered and laying in their beds and their cribs and wherever they are, dead, would have loved to trade places with me and have the opportunity to keep on going and keep on fighting and keep on living this life. And so, I decided to stop that behavior and start changing it around and become a voice for these children out here. You know what I mean? Because they need it. They need all of our voices, and we can't keep pretending and hiding behind some sort of a BS, a blind eye thing. People will let a child be abused right in their own home, and they will not say a word, and they will not get help. The abuser's not going to get the child any help. The one who's inflicting the abuse on the child, they're not going to. And the other people in the family, for many reasons, won't. And neighbors and other people that may know about it, many reasons they won't. A lot of times out of fear. Many times it's just, I don't want to get involved. It'll be some sort of lengthy court proceeds, and I don't want to have to deal with that, and I'll take time off from work, and then they'll know it was me that reported it. Oh, my God. So they'll let that child be abused. And some people will go along with it. That's what happened in my parents' case. Some people will actually back it up and say, yeah, that's what that child deserves. Good bash in the head with a big rolling pin. Yeah, knock her head in. You know what I mean? So many people will condone abuse. So get that one. But it's the truth, right? And so this is so wrong. Get involved where you can. I'm getting ready to do, in about 6 months, I'm getting ready to do a huge campaign. And oh my God, I hope people will back me up on it. I got to get it together first, but when I do, I'm going to announce it. And it's just going to be nationwide, Canada, United States, and it's going to be huge. So I really hope that you will be a part of it. And I'll be sure and let you all know when that's ready. And, right now, make sure the kids in your own life are not being abused. You make sure the children around you are not being abused. You do whatever it is that you need to do, but you get that child some help. You know, you make a phone call, you get that child some help, and report it as a crime. If you don't report it to the police as a crime, Child Protective Services will just leave the child in the home, more than likely. It's got to be reported as a crime. You know, like, make sure you do report it to the police. Get that child some help, whatever you do. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll be back on tomorrow morning with Barbara Hoffmeister. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, 2-hour show talking about her To Be book. And Barbara Hoffmeister, she works to change people's lives through her book and her information, the To Be book, which is just a workbook, and it's amazing. It is so amazing. I hope you will tune in for that. Barbara Hofmeister, she's also a Blog Talk host here on Blog Talk Radio, the To Be show, and you don't want to miss that. That is going to be a great show, and talking about how we can achieve our dreams and our goals and how we can have that dream life, right, because it is so doable. And I love what she has to say because it's all about positive stuff, and I need that in my life, and so I appreciate everything she's doing. So I hope that you will tune in for that, and then Sunday I'll have my show, Mount Bethel Christian Bible Study, and then Monday morning, One Child Abuse Survivor to Another. So have a great weekend, everybody. Take good care of yourselves. Talk to you soon.